Hello students, welcome back to the English class. And this is the last and the fifth session of the chapter Mother's Day. So now let's continue. Today we will continue this chapter from page number 47. So now let's start. George just looked in for a minute, I suppose Mrs. Fitzgerald. Now George joins Mrs. Pearson and Mrs. Fitzgerald. As they both are talking to each other, he also joins them. And then he looks at Mrs. Fitzgerald and he becomes a bit confused, and then he puts the question if she was Mrs. Fitzgerald. Mrs. Fitzgerald, who doesn't know what she is saying. Well, yes, I suppose so, George. Now, when she also looks at George, she also becomes confused and she is not very sure what she has to say. And then awkwardly she says, I suppose so, George. George aghast. George aghast means surprised. He also becomes surprised and he repeats, George. Mrs. Fitzgerald nervously, oh, I'm sorry. And then she gets nervous and she also apologizes and she says, I am sorry, as she has also called him by his name, George. Mrs. Pearson impatiently. Then Mrs. Pearson loses her patience and says, what does it matter? Your name's George, isn't it? Who do you think you are, Duke of Edinburgh? Then she also makes fun of him and she says that, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. If she calls you by your name is actually George. And then she mocks at him and says that, do you think that you are a Duke of Edinburgh who needs respect and who should not be called by the name? George angrily. What's he got to do with it? Now he becomes angry and says, what is the use of calling his name Duke of Edinburgh? Why she is bringing in Duke of Edinburgh in between the conversation? Just tell me that. And isn't it bad enough without her calling me George? And also he says that she should not have called him George. Naughty, Pompey Pearson. And poor Doris has been crying her eyes out upstairs. Yes, crying her eyes out. But also he says she should not call him George. But also at the same time he says that it's not so bad if she had called him George. But it is so much bad that when Mrs. Pearson herself was calling him Pompey Pearson. As he says before Mrs. Fitzgerald that his wife was calling him Pompey Pearson, and also because of her bad behavior, Doris is also crying and she is crying endlessly. Mrs. Fitzgerald wailing, oh dear, I ought to have known. Now she also shows a concern for the family and she says that she should have known it. George, staring at her, annoyed. You ought to have known. Why ought you to have known? Nothing to do with you, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Look, we are at 6s and 7s here just now, so perhaps you will excuse us. 6s and 7s means here in confusion. Now, he says that actually Mrs. Fitzgerald here forgets that she is Annie Pearson and in the body of Mrs. Fitzgerald. And so that's why she shows her concern towards the family. But George, after hearing these words, becomes angry and then he says that there is no need that she should have known everything about the family, as they already are in confusion, so she should leave them. Mrs. Pearson, before Mrs. Fitzgerald can reply, I won't excuse you, George Pearson. Next time a friend and neighbor comes to see me, just say something when you see her. Good evening, or how do you do? Or something, and don't just march in and sit down without a word. It's bad manners. Now, before the lady who is Mrs. Annie Pearson, before she gives answer, Mrs. Pearson interrupts and she says that she would not excuse George Pearson, and also she tells him that next time if any of her friends or neighbor comes to meet her, then he should have shown some good manners, as Whenever he looks at her friends or neighbors, he should wish them, he should say them good evening or how do you do, or also he should not sit there without saying any word. These are the bad manners, and he should show good manners before her friends. Mrs. Fitzgerald nervously, no, it's all right. Mrs. Pearson, no, it's not all right. We'll have some decent manners in this house, or I'll know the reason why. Glaring at George, well. Now, Mrs. Pearson says that no, it's not all right, because in her family, she wants that in her family, the family member should have some decent manners, and also she says that everybody must act respectfully, and also they should live in a disciplined way. George, intimidated, well, what? Intimidated means frightened. Now he becomes little bit frightened and says, what do you mean by what? Well, what? Mrs. Pearson taunting him. Why don't you get off to your club special night tonight? Isn't it? They'll be waiting for you, wanting to have a good laugh. Go on them, don't disappoint them. Then Mrs. Pearson taunts him. While taunting, she says him that he should go now to the club, he should leave the house now, because it is a special night, as they are going to play the snooker match, special snooker match that day, that night. And also she says that his friends would be waiting for him. He should not disappoint them, as while they would look at Mr. Pearson, they would start joking at him. George bitterly, that's right. Make me look silly in front of her now. Go on, don't mind me. Sixes and sevens. Poor Doris, been crying her eyes out, getting the neighbors in to see the fun, suddenly losing his temper, glaring at Mrs. Pearson and shouting, all right, let her hear it. What's the matter with you? Have you gone barmy or what? Barmy means mad or crazy. Now he becomes angry while hearing the words of Mrs. Annie Pearson and tells her that she was making fun of the family before a neighbor, as their family is going in the confusion. But even then, she is making fun of her family when there is a neighbor. And then he looks at Mrs. Pearson and then he starts shouting. And then he says that let her hear all the matter. Whatever you are saying, let her hear, let her know, let her know. And also he says what has gone to her, as she is looking barmy, as she has become mad or crazy. Mrs. Pearson jumping up savagely. Savagely means now she has become violent. She has controlled her. She has uncontrolled herself. She is not in control. And then she says, if you shout at me again like that, George Pearson, I'll slap your big fat silly face. And then she says, if he would shout at her like that, she says to George Pearson, if he would let her, then she would slap him. Mrs. Fitzgerald, morning. Oh, no, no, please, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Mrs. Pearson sits. George, staring at her bewildered. Bewildered means puzzled, confused. Either I am off my chump or you two are. Now, he says that whether he has become chump means foolish, he has become foolish, or they both the ladies have become foolish. How do you mean? No, no, please, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Look, you are Mrs. Fitzgerald. As in the above sentence, Mrs. Pearson calls to Mrs. Pearson, actually who is in the body of Annie Pearson. She calls him by her actual name, Mrs. Fitzgerald. And while hearing these words, George also becomes confused when he sees that Mrs. Fitzgerald is calling to Mrs. Annie Pearson as Mrs. Fitzgerald. So he says that why are you calling your name yourself? So why are you telling yourself to stop when you are not doing anything? Then he says that why are you taking your name and saying to stop anything when you are not doing anything? Tell her to stop, then there would be some sense in it. Staring at Mrs. Pearson, I think you must be tiddly. Tiddly means he wants to say that she must have drunk now. Now he says that I think you also have drunk because you are calling your own name, but you should say to Mrs. Annie Pearson to stop all this, then it would show some sense. Mrs. Pearson, starting up savagely. Savagely means violently. Say that again, George Pearson. George, intimidated. All right, all right, all right. Now it seems that he has become afraid of Annie Pearson. He is now frightened. Doris enters left slowly. Looking miserable, she is still wearing the wrap. Mrs. Pearson sits on the settee. Now enters Doris Pearson, daughter of Annie Pearson. Still she is wearing the wrap, and then Mrs. Pearson also sits on the settee. And Doris looks very much miserable, very much sad. Mrs. Fitzgerald, hello Doris dear. Doris, miserably, hello Mrs. Fitzgerald. Mrs. Fitzgerald, I thought you were going out with Charlie Spence tonight. Doris annoyed, what's that to do with you? Mrs. Pearson sharply, stop that. Mrs. Fitzgerald nervously, no, it's all right. Now, when Doris enters the room, at once Mrs. Fitzgerald asks him, questions him if she was going out with Charlie Spence. Again, now she forgets that now she is in the body of Annie Pearson forgets that she is in the body of Mrs. Fitzgerald. Then Doris doesn't answer her properly, and she says her that why you are asking me such questions. Then Mrs. Pearson severely, it isn't all right. I won't have a daughter of mine talking to anybody like that. Now answer Mrs. Fitzgerald properly. Doris, or go upstairs again. Doris looks wonderingly at her father. Now Mrs. Pearson scolds her daughter, and she says her that she doesn't want the daughter of her like that, and she should behave properly with Mrs. Fitzgerald, and she should give her proper answer, otherwise she should go upstairs. And then Doris looks at her father surprisingly. George, in despair, now he is hopeless. Don't look at me, I give it up, I just give it up. Now he says that everything is out of his control and he has given up. And he says Doris not to look at him like that. Mrs. Pearson fiercely, well, answer her. Doris, sulkily. Sulkily means she is not ready to give the answer, but she has to do. I was going out with Charlie Spence tonight, but now I have called it off. Then she says that night she had to go outside with Charlie Spence, but now she has dropped the idea. She is not going with him. Mrs. Fitzgerald, oh, what a pity, dear. Why have you? Then she wants to get the answer why she has dropped the idea, why she is not going. Doris, with a flash of temper. Because if you must know, my mother has been going on at me, making me feel miserable, and saying he has got buck teeth and is half-witted. Now she is also in temper, she is angry, and she says that it is because of her mother. It is because of her mother that she has made her miserable, and she had told Charlie Spence that he has buck teeth and he is half-witted. Mrs. Fitzgerald, rather bolder, to Mrs. Pearson, oh, you shouldn't have said that. Now, after hearing these words, Mrs. Fitzgerald, who is actually Mrs. Pearson, becomes rather bolder, and then she says to Mrs. Annie Pearson that she should not have said that. Mrs. Pearson sharply, Mrs. Fitzgerald, I'll manage my family, you manage yours. Then Mrs. Pearson, she speaks very sharply to Mrs. Fitzgerald and tells her that she will manage her family herself and she should manage her family. George grimly, ticking her off now, are you Annie? Still he is confused that he is asking if she was Annie. Mrs. Pearson, even more grimly, they are waiting for you at the club, George. Don't forget, and don't you start crying again, Doris. Then Mrs. Pearson again tells Mr. George to go to club as the people at club are waiting for him. And also She says Doris not to cry again. Mrs. Fitzgerald getting up with sudden decision. That's enough, quite enough. George and Doris stare at her bewildered. Now Mrs. Fitzgerald, she gets up and says that now it's enough. And then George and Doris both become bewildered, puzzled, and start looking at each other. To George and Doris, now listen, you two. I want to have a private little talk with Mrs. Fitzgerald. She corrects herself hastily with Mrs. Pearson. Now, Mrs. Annie Pearson tells to George and Doris to leave them as she wants to have a private talk with Mrs. Fitzgerald. But now she corrects herself very quickly. She says Mrs. Annie Pearson. So I'll be obliged if you will leave us alone for a few minutes. I'll let you know when we have finished. Go on, please. I promise you that you won't regret it. There is something here that only I can deal with. And now she says that she has to talk with Annie Pearson privately. So she says to both of them to leave the room. George rising. I'm glad somebody can because I can't come on Doris. George and Doris exit left. As they go, Mrs. Fitzgerald moves to left of the small table and sits. She eagerly beckons Mrs. Pearson to do the same thing. Now when George and Doris leave the room, Mrs. Fitzgerald very quickly beckons when she makes gestures with the hand, she waves and she says to Mrs. Fitzgerald to do something very quickly. Do the same thing. Same thing means here. Now she want to switch their places back. As now she wants to get back to her body again. Mrs. Fitzgerald. Mrs. Fitzgerald, we must change back now. We really must. Mrs. Pearson rising. Why? Mrs. Fitzgerald, because this has gone far enough. I can see they are all miserable and I can't bear it. Now, Mrs. Fitzgerald, who is actually Annie Pearson, now she says that they must change their places as now it has gone far enough. It is now beyond control as her family is miserable. They are in a very poor condition and she cannot tolerate. Mrs. Pearson, a bit more of the same would do them good, making a great difference already. She moves to right of the table and sits. But Mrs. Pearson is still not ready to change their places as she says that they also need some more treatment and then they would be on the right path. And then she moves to the right of the table and sits there. Mrs. Fitzgerald, no, I can't stand any more of it. I really can't. We must change back. Hurry up, please, Mrs. Fitzgerald. But Annie Pearson is not ready. Now she is in a hurry. She wants to change their places very quickly. Mrs. Pearson, well, if you insist. Mrs. Fitzgerald, yes, I do. Please, please. She stretches her hand across the table eagerly. Mrs. Pearson takes them. Then she says that she really wants to change the places now. She insists and then she stretches her hand across the table and Mrs. Pearson takes her hands in her own hands. Mrs. Pearson, quiet now, relax. Mrs. Pearson and Mrs. Fitzgerald stare at each other. They start looking at each other, muttering exactly as before. Now she mutters the spell in her mouth as she had done earlier. Ashtata dum, ashtata lam, ashtata lamb dambona. They carry out the same action as before, going lax and then coming to life. Again, they do the same action as they had done earlier when they had changed their personalities. Again, they do the same action. They go lax for some time and then again they come to life. But this time, of course, they become their proper personalities. Now, they have become their proper personalities. Mrs. Annie Pearson has become Annie Pearson and Mrs. Fitzgerald has gone back to her own body. Mrs. Fitzgerald, well, I enjoyed that. Mrs. Pearson, I didn't. Now, Mrs. Fitzgerald says that she had enjoyed very much when she was in the body of Mrs. Annie Pearson, but Mrs. Annie Pearson says that she had not enjoyed. Mrs. Fitzgerald, well, you ought to have done. But she says that she must also have enjoyed that. Now listen. Mrs. Pearson, don't go soft on them again, else it will all have been wasted. Now, she also advises her that she should not be soft now, otherwise, everything will be wasted. As they had acted since morning, but now it all will be wasted if she will become soft again. Mrs. Pearson, I'll try not to, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Mrs. Fitzgerald, they have not had as long as would like to have given them. Another hour or two's rough treatment might have made it certain. Now, Mrs. Pearson says that she would not try to, but Mrs. Fitzgerald says that they want only treatment only for one or 2 hours, and then they would be all right. Mrs. Pearson, I am sure they will do better now, though I don't know how I am going to explain. But Mrs. Pearson is very much sure, and she says that they would do better then. But and she didn't know how to explain them that how she had gone to the body of Mrs. Fitzgerald. Mrs. Fitzgerald severely, don't you start an explaining or apologizing, or you are done for. Now, Mrs. Fitzgerald denies, she refuses her not to start an explanation, or there is no need to apologize. Mrs. Pearson, with spirit, it's all right for you. Mrs. Fitzgerald, after all, they aren't your husband and children. But Mrs. Pearson does not agree with the words of Mrs. Fitzgerald. Again, she says that it's all right for you because they are not your husband and children. Mrs. Fitzgerald, impressively, now you listen to me. You admitted yourself you were spoiling them, and they didn't appreciate you. Any apologies, any explanations, and you will be straight back where you were. Now, she says that only you yourself had admitted that your children have been spoiled. They do never appreciate you, and if you will again explain them everything, you will apologize. Again, they would start the same behavior with you as they were doing earlier. I am warning you, dear. Just give them a look, a tone of voice now and again to suggest you might to be tough with them if you wanted to be, and it ought to work anyhow. We can test it. And then she says that you should have to be tough with them, and it would surely work as you want. They would start doing that, and they both now wanted to test. Mrs. Annie Pearson, how? Mrs. Fitzgerald, well, what is it you would like them to do that they don't do? Stop at home for once. Now, Mrs. Fitzgerald says to Mrs. Annie Pearson that she can test it. They would start working as she likes. And first of all, she asks him what she would like them to do that they do not do. And they would stop at home for once. Mrs. Annie Pearson, yes, and give me a hand with supper. Now, Mrs. Pearson says that she wants that her family would help her in supper. Mrs. Fitzgerald, anything you would like them to do that you enjoy, whether they do or not. Mrs. Annie Pearson, hesitatingly, well, yes, I like a nice game of rummy, but of course I hardly ever have one except at Christmas. The next thing she wants to play rummy. That is a nice game for her. And she hardly plays this game. She plays this game only once, and that is at the time of Christmas. Mrs. Fitzgerald, getting up. That will do then. She moves towards the door left and turns. But remember, keep firm or you have had it. She opens the door calling, home. You can come in now. Coming away from the door and moving right slightly, quietly. But remember a firm hand. Now she says that whatever you like your family will do now, but you have to be firm, you have to be very much determined, and you have to remember a firm hand. George, Doris and Cyril file in through the doorway, looking apprehensively at Mrs. Pearson. Now, they all are standing in line and they are looking at Mrs. Annie Pearson. And just apprehensively they are looking at her. I am just off to let you enjoy yourself. And she says goodbye and she tells Mrs. Annie Pearson to enjoy with the family. The family looks anxiously at Mrs. Pearson, who smiles. Much relieved, they smile back at her. The family looks at Mrs. Annie Pearson as they are still fearful. Now she smiles and the family also smiles back at her. Doris anxiously, yes, mother. Still she is horrified. Mrs. Pearson smiling, seeing that you don't want to go out, I tell you what I thought we would do. Now she says that all right, you are not going outside, and now I tell you what I thought we will do now. Mrs. Fitzgerald giving a final warning, remember. Mrs. Pearson nodding, then looking sharply at the family, no objections, I hope. But Mrs. Fitzgerald again says her that, again gives her final warning, and she says that remember that you have to be very firm, you have to be very determined, strict with the family. And then George humbly, no, mother, whatever you say. Then George also say that whatever you say we will do. Mrs. Pearson smiling, I thought we had have a nice family game of rummy and then you children could get the supper ready while I have a talk with your father. Mrs. Pearson starts smiling and then she says that she wanted that they would have a nice family game of rummy and the children would prepare supper when she would be talking with their father. George firmly suits me. He looks challengingly at the children. What about you two? Now George says that this thing suits me, and then he wants to know from the children what they would do. Cyril hastily, yes, that's all right. Doris hesitating, well, I. Mrs. Pearson sharply, what? Speak up. Again she becomes a little bit angry. Doris says hastily, oh, I think it would be lovely. Now Doris and Cyril also are ready to prepare the supper for them. Mrs. Pearson smiling, goodbye, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Come again soon. Mrs. Fitzgerald, yes, dear. Good night, all. Have a nice time. Now she leaves the room and wishes them good night. Mrs. Fitzgerald exits left and the family cluster round mother as. Then the curtain falls. Cluster means group. Now the group of the family, all the family members gather around mother, Mrs. Annie Pearson, and Mrs. Fitzgerald leaves the room and uh, uh, they start playing the rummy and then the curtain falls. Means now the play ends here. Means now at the end it is shown the happy family. They are living together while playing games as mother wanted and the children preparing supper for the parents. So students, this is all about the chapter and I hope you have understood and also enjoyed it. Okay students, goodbye and have a nice day.